It's easy to get lost in the pleasure that stars give us and forget that they are just people like us going through hard times and hard edges. Fans were shocked when Ron Howard, a beloved director and former star, recently told them some terrible new facts. As someone who has spent decades making movies that people will never forget, it's easy to forget about the personal problems he has been having. In this video, we'll talk about Ron Howard's sad news and the problems he's had to deal with behind the scenes. Ron Howard's rise in the entertainment business is a story of ability, hard work, and change. Howard was born on March 1st, 1954, in Duncan, Oklahoma. He has been involved with playing in movies since he was very young. He was born to Rance Howard and Jean Spiegel, both of whom worked in show business, getting Ron ready for his future job. His ancestors came from many places in Europe, and Howard has German, English, Scottish, Irish, and Dutch roots. This varied background may have helped him be flexible and appealing to a wide range of people as both an actor and a director. Howard wasn't always Howard, which is interesting. His dad was born with the last name Beckenholt, but in 1948 he changed it to Howard as a fake name, a choice that would affect how the family is known for many years to come. Ron's early life was shaped by the fact that his father was in the U.S. Air Force. His time in the service may have given him the discipline and work ethic that would help him in his future job. Howard got a mix of regular schooling and on-set tutoring when he was a child. He went to regular schools in Burbank, California, such as David Starr Jordan Jr. and Robert Louis Stevenson Elementary, high school, and then graduated from John Burroughs High School. But he also had tutoring sessions at Desilu Studios as part of his education. This shows the difficult balance he had to find between his acting job and his schoolwork. Howard went to the School of Cinematic Arts at the University of Southern California, but he didn't finish his degree. Instead, he chose to learn his trade by working in the business. In 1959, Ron Howard got his big break as an actor when he got his first creditable part in the movie The Journey. After that, he was in a number of TV shows, showing how versatile he was as a young actor. He played parts in well-known TV shows like The Twilight Zone, Dennis the Menace, and The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. Howard learned more about the business and gained experience through these early shows. Howard's big break came when he played Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show. That part made him famous all over the world. Howard played Opie on the show for all 8 seasons, starting in 1960. The American people saw him grow up on the show. People felt nostalgic and at ease watching the show because it had a good, old-fashioned feel that was very different from the turbulent 1960s. Howard learned a lot from his time on The Andy Griffith Show. On his very first day on set, when he was only 5 years old, he had to act like a toy turtle was a real dead turtle. Howard learned early on in his career how to successfully play something that isn't real. This skill would help him throughout his career. Howard changed into teenage parts as he got older. Because he was in an episode of Love American Style, he was cast as Richie Cunningham on Happy Days. Howard became a teen idol thanks to this part, which he played from 1974 to 1980. Howard was great as the straight-laced Richie, which was the perfect contrast to Henry Winkler's naughty Fonzie. This created a relationship that would define the show. While he was on Happy Days, Howard kept getting movie parts. He played Winthrop Peru, a boy with a lisp, in the 1962 movie version of The Music Man. The movie did well at the box office, and with critics it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. Howard's range as a young actor was also shown in The Courtship of Eddie's Father, which came out in 1963. Howard played Steve Bolander in George Lucas's 1973 movie American Graffiti, which was one of his most important movie parts. People who saw the movie and people who reviewed it both liked the coming-of-age story. Roger Ebert said that the movie was not only great, but also a great lie about history. The movie American Graffiti was the model for Howard's role in Happy Days, so his work in that movie helped him get the part. Throughout the 1970s, Howard continued to work in both movies and TV shows. He was in The Waltons and The Shootist, which starred John Wayne. Howard was able to improve as an actor and learn how to work in a variety of genres and formats thanks to these different parts. With the end of the 1970s, Ron Howard's goals began to change. He thought that directing would be a good change after years of being in front of the camera. He had a special understanding of how movies are made because he had been an actor, and he was excited to get behind the camera and use what he had learned. It was the beginning of a huge change in Howard's career that would lead to him becoming one of the most recognized directors in Hollywood. But that big step into the director's chair came with duties and stress that he hadn't planned for. Switching from being an actress to a director was a big turning point in Ron Howard's career. It led to him becoming one of the most respected directors in Hollywood. It wasn't just a change in job title. Howard's way of sharing stories and his place in the entertainment business changed a lot because of it. Howard's first movie as a director was the low-budget comedy action movie Grand Theft Auto, which came out in 1977. Because of a deal with Roger Corman, the famous producer, who is known for giving many future stars and directors their first big breaks, this chance came up. The plan was easy, but it worked. Howard would play the lead role in Corman's movie Eat My Dust, in return for being able to direct his own movie. It was typical of Corman to work with new artists in this way, and Howard learned a lot about making movies from this experience. Grand Theft Auto was made by a family. Howard and his father Rance wrote the story together. The fact that Howard could rely on his father's knowledge and support during this project probably made him feel safe as he went into new territory. Howard learned a lot from this project, even though it was small and didn't cost much. It was his first taste of the challenges and benefits of directing. Howard did try his hand at directing again after this, but he didn't give up playing right away. Instead, he got the best of both worlds by continuing to be in Happy Days and directing NBC TV movies from 1978 to 1982. For Howard, this time was like an internship because it gave him a chance to improve his directing skills in a relatively low-stress setting. The 1980 TV movie Skyward, which stars the legendary Bette Davis, was one of the most important works from this time. Howard must have felt both scared and enlightened to work with such a well-known and respected actor so early in his career as a director. It probably taught him a lot about how to direct experienced actors and deal with the dynamics of the set. Howard's big break as a director came in 1982 with the comedy Night Shift, which starred Michael Keaton, Shelley Long, and Henry Winkler, who was also in Howard's Happy Days. Howard's first movie as a director of a full-length movie set the stage for his future success. Howard was able to take on bigger and more challenging projects after the movie got good reviews. Once Night Shift was over, Howard's work as a director really took off. He directed the fantasy romance comedy Splash in 1984. It starred Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah, Eugene Levy, and John Candy. The movie did well at the box office and with critics, proving Howard's skills as a director worthy of leading big Hollywood projects. The movie's mix of comedy, romance, and magic showed how versatile Howard was as a director and how well he could handle complicated plots and special effects. Howard's next big hit was Cocoon, a science fiction comedy drama released in 1985. It starred a group of experienced players such as Donna Mitchell, Wilford Brimley, and Ryan Dennehy. The movie did well at the box office and with critics to Howard. Also, Donna Mitchell won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role. This added to Howard's image as a director who could get his actors to give great performances. Howard worked with George Lucas again in 1988 on the high fantasy adventure film Willow. Lucas had directed Howard in American Graffiti. Howard's past work was very different from this project, which showed that he could handle big productions with lots of effects. When Willow first came out, it got mixed reviews, but it now has a cult following and shows that Howard is willing to work on a wide range of difficult projects. The 1980s came to an end with Howard's family comedy Parenthood, which starred Steve Martin, Mary Steenburgen, Diane Weist, and a young Joaquin Phoenix, among others. The movie did well at the box office and with critics. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards and made over $100 million in the United States. Howard kept taking on more and more different and difficult projects as his work as a director grew. His 2013 movie Rush was a sports drama based on the real-life feud between James Hunt and Niki Lauda, 2 Formula One drivers. The movie, which stars Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl, got good reviews at its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. Howard wrote another historical play in 2015 called In the Heart of the Sea. It was about the sinking of the American whaling ship Essex in 1820, which was the basis for Herman Melville's book Moby Dick. Even though stars like Chris Hemsworth and Cillian Murphy gave great performances, the movie did poorly at the box office and got mixed reviews. In 2017, Howard got one of the most well-known jobs as a director. When he took over Solo: A Star Wars Story, Howard was hired to take over for Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who had quit as directors because they didn't agree with Lucasfilm's creative vision for the project. Howard faced special problems in this situation because he had to join a production that was already going on and meet the needs of both the company and the devoted Star Wars fans. In spite of the rough production, Howard handled the job with enthusiasm and said he was thankful for the chance to add to the Star Wars universe. Even though Howard had a lot of wins and accomplishments at work, he also had some problems in his personal life. He felt the stresses of fame from when he was young and was on the Andy Griffith Show and Happy Days. These stresses stayed with him throughout his work. Going from being a child star to an adult actor, and then to a director came with its own hurdles and hopes. Though Howard's job as a director was going well, the expectations of the business started to hurt his personal life. The constant push to make hits, along with the long hours and intense focus needed to direct big Hollywood movies, started to put a strain on his relationships, especially with his family. Howard was stuck in a loop of work that would not stop. He was always trying to get the next big thing, even if it meant putting his own health and family time last. In the end, this imbalance caused Howard to have a mental breakdown. Even though he had won awards, been praised by critics, and done well at the box office, he knew he was failing at being a husband and father, which were the parts that were most important to him. Being aware of this fact woke Howard up, making him face the real cost of his success and rethink what's most important to him. Howard decided to change how he did things in both his personal and professional life after a deep moment of self-reflection. He knew that his work success could not make up for the fact that he no longer had close relationships with his family and friends. Howard made a conscious effort to rebalance his life after this finding. He made sure that his family always came first while still pursuing his passion for filmmaking. He didn't have to give up his job because of this change in perspective. Instead, he had to find a way to balance his professional goals with his personal values. Howard learned to set limits, be more present with his family, and put the relationships that gave his life value outside of his job in the entertainment business first. On the other hand, something else has been weighing on the tail in the background. Ron Howard has a very close relationship with his younger brother Clint Howard, which is hidden by his fame and success. This friendship, which began when both were child stars and has grown stronger over the years through shared experiences, is now facing its toughest test yet. Just like his bigger brother, Clint Howard got into the entertainment business when he was young. Clint made a name for himself while Ron's star rose to great heights, becoming a well-liked character actor known for his unique style and memorable roles. During their jobs, the Howard brothers have stayed close, supporting each other's goals and talking about the good and bad parts of being famous. Ron has often talked about how important his relationship with Clint is. Sometimes growing up in the show business can make you feel alone, but the Howard brothers went through it together. Ron has often said that Clint kept him grounded by always reminding him of where they came from and how important family is in the crazy world of Hollywood. A steady presence in a world that is always changing, Clint has been Ron's support in many ways. Even though Ron became famous as a director very quickly, he has always looked to Clint for ideas and motivation, has always been a source of admiration for Ron, no matter what the pressures were in the business. Their relationship goes beyond their work. The brothers have been there for each other through good times and bad, enjoying each other's wins and helping each other through tough times. Their relationship has been built on this shared support system, which has helped them get through the rough times that come with being famous. This brotherly bond is being put to the ultimate test right now, as Clint is having a very bad health problem. Ron is now a worried brother, which is not a role he had planned for himself. He is dealing with the thought of losing his best friend and confidant. Since it was recently revealed that Clint Howard is very sick, it has cast a dark shadow over his family. Ron has been open about how this situation has made him and his family feel in a rare moment of weakness. The person who has directed many stories of people overcoming hardships is now in the middle of a real-life drama that might not have a happy finish. The specifics of Clint's sickness are still being kept secret, but it has been called crippling and life-changing. This is a very sad truth for a man who has spent his whole life making other people happy through his performances. Ron talks about how hard it is for him to see his healthy, active brother dealing with serious health problems. This has really affected Ron. There are effects of Clint's illness that go far beyond his body. Ron talks about a deep sense of helplessness that he is not used to feeling because he is used to fixing problems on and off the set. Ron is used to being in charge of his projects as a director, carefully planning each scene to tell an interesting story. But in this real-life situation, he is just a bystander and can't yell, cut, or start over the scene. Ron has had to face his weaknesses and fears because of this situation. The thought of losing Clint has made me realize how fragile life is and how important it is to have close relationships. Ron says that they have spent sleepless nights thinking about memories they have shared, from when they were kid actors to more recent times they worked together on film sets. These memories used to make me happy and nostalgic, but now they make me feel sad because I don't know what the future holds. The Howard family's strength is clear in how they've come together to help Clint through this tough time. Ron talks about a renewed sense of family togetherness, with everyone putting aside their own problems to help and comfort each other. Even though things are very bad, Ron is still positive. He talks about how Clint's strength and determination have helped him throughout his life and work. Ron's request for privacy during this tough time isn't just to keep the public from seeing his family. It's an acknowledgement that getting better and coping take time and space, away from the constant light of attention. Ron also wants to show that he respects Clint's privacy by making this request. He wants his brother's problem to stay private and not be made public. Ron thinks about the lessons he has learned from Clint over the years as the Howard family goes through this hard time. Ronald has always been impressed by Clint's ability to find fun in tough situations, his unwavering honesty, and his strength in the face of hardship. Today, more than ever, These traits show Ron and his family the way and keep them strong and hopeful. Ron has also had to rethink his goals because of the current health crisis. He still loves making movies, but he says he is putting more emphasis on family and personal ties. This new way of looking at things will probably affect his future writing. He might write stories about family bonds, strength, and the success of the human spirit, all of which are things that are more important to him now than ever before. What do you like most about Ron Howard? Please tell us in the comments. Don't forget to like and follow this station to get more videos.